Neil Marshall was born in Lancaster in 1984 and played amateur football locally before joining Lancaster City in October 2006. He went on to make 486 appearances for the Dolly Blues, including 435 competitive games in which he scored 25 goals. Mick Hoyle was involved with Lancaster for over 30 years, including stints as chief executive and first-team manager. He remembers how Neil came to join the club.
Back in 2003, 2004, the club unfortunately went into administration, and at that stage myself and a group of local businessmen went and got back involved. Simply because of the finances, there was no money to pay anybody expenses. We went and raided the local league, and that included Marshy United, where Neil was then a player, a skinny young left back that sort of appealed to our eyes. We went along and asked him to come down to the Giant Axe and give it a go, and that's where his career started from there. Basically, he got in the team simply because he was left-footed, and we've laughed about that since, and because they're few and far between. So he started off at left back and played there for the first couple of seasons, and he grew in stature. Later on in his career, a few years down the road, he was transformed into a centre half, which is where he finished his career with over 400 games for the club.
Despite interest from other clubs, including Blackpool, Neil always remained unwaveringly loyal to Lancaster, and the fans loved him for it. Mick Hoyle again.
You can see it now even at the top level, the loyalty in football. You know, as soon as somebody else comes along and offers you an extra £5, you're wanting to fly out the door and do that now. A number of occasions Neil was given that opportunity, and because of his loyalty to Lancaster and to Lancaster City, he stuck by the club. And to reach 430 appearances was a fantastic achievement. I think Edgar Parkinson is the record holder at 515. I'm 100% sure that Neil would have gone on and been the most appearances for the club ever.
A tough defender, Neil was made club captain in 2010 and was inspirational in guiding the team to the President's Cup final the following year, where victory over Belper Town saw them clinch the silverware. Neil Wainwright knew Neil as both a teammate and also his manager. He remembers how Marshy welcomed him to the club.
I was sort of in between football at that time, having been recently released by Morecambe. So I went down to Lancaster, thought I'd play a little bit of local football, played a few pre-season games with Lancaster, and straight away, Marshy was just one of those welcoming fellas, really. Took to each other straight away, because obviously he's a Liverpool fan and so am I, so that was always, just have a bit of banter about that. But he's just one of those nice guys. He's one of those people you come across in life where you think, I'd like him to back me. I'd have him in the trenches, so to speak.
Mick Hoyle remembers the qualities that made Neil such a great captain.
Loyalty, courageous, a leader, a man that you would have taken to war with you, really, and knew that you got the right men on your side.
Neil Wainwright again.
He was reliable. I think that it's well documented. A lot of people have said the same. You always knew he'd be there every training session. You can rely on him to give everything every game, and anything he'd done was just wholehearted. And there was an example. I think he played a game, can't remember, it was at home, and he'd been booked in the first half and he'd gone in for a few sort of ropey tackles. So I warned him. I said to him at half time, I said, Marshy, you dare get booked second half, then I'll hammer you at the end of the game. He said, no, don't worry about it, Wayne, don't worry about it. Literally 3 or 4 minutes in the second half, ball goes down the channel. I'm thinking, no, don't. He takes him out completely. So we get in the dressing room after, and I'm ready to hammer him, and I look at him and he goes, I know, Gaffer, I know. If it was anyone else, I probably would have absolutely destroyed him in the dressing room. But with it being Marshy and how reliable he is, and it's such a nice guy, then it was just one of those, fair enough, Marshy, you know yourself.
Arguably, Neil's most memorable moment in a Lancaster City shirt came in March 2016, as the Dolly Blues faced Chorley at the Macron Stadium in the LFA Trophy final. Despite losing on penalties, the match will be remembered as one of the finest in the history of Lancaster City. Over 500 fans made the trip to support Neil Marshall in his final major game for the club, and the City captain was given a huge standing ovation after the final whistle. Neil decided to retire in 2016 in order to spend more time with his family. Later that year, nearly 1,000 people attended Giant Axe to see Neil Marshall's 11 take on Liverpool FC Legends 11, with famous names such as Phil Neal, David Fairclough, Alan Kennedy and Trevor Sinclair taking part. It was an emotional and memorable night. Mick Hoyle remembers.
Yeah, I think for everybody concerned, because of the situation, when you have a testimony, you normally come into the end of your playing career. This was slightly different, although it's happened a lot quicker than we all wanted and expected, really. The fact that, he was diagnosed with his terminal illness made it even more of an emotional occasion.
Neil Wainwright was also involved.
I'd warned him beforehand. I never played friendlies or anything like in a friendly way, so I always try and play properly, so to speak. I even took the ball off him once and got a bit of a boo from the crowd, which they weren't very happy with. But no, I was privileged for him to ask me, and really pleased to sort of pay tribute to him at the time, really. When you ask that question, you think, it doesn't matter what I've got on, I'll be there, I'll drop it to play for him. And again, that's the type of guy he was like.
Neil Marshall was just 31 when he passed away following his courageous 2-year-long battle with cancer. He's survived by his wife Kim, his daughter Daisy and son Max. Here's Mick Hoyle.
I think you only need to look at the amount of people that attended his funeral and the respect that he grew, not just from within Lancaster City but from within the non-league circle. There was many players that had come from a lot of other sides, certainly on that day, and have shown a lot of respect since as well.
Those from across the world of football and beyond were joined in grief at the passing of Neil Marshall. The Lancaster City fans displayed a poignant flag at the club's home, the Giant Axe. Next to a photo of Neil in action are the words, "Once a Dolly, always a Dolly. Thank you."
He just led by example the way he played. He helped young players out on the pitch. Just such a good guy.